Looks like we'll see folks file in, so let's see what happens. Hey, Doug, see you there. And good to see you again. Not sure if you remember, but before everything shut down, I think we met right out there at y'all's office in Scottsdale for manager training. So good to see you again. Hey, Taylor, thanks for jumping on. We'll give it a couple minutes, but we definitely don't mind if it's a personal crowd, and that'll allow us to interact with you guys a little bit more and take any questions and make sure we cover anything y'all want to talk about once we get into to our workflows presentation here in a second, but we'll give it a couple more minutes. All right, guys, we're at 11:03 and we want to jump into some of the content that we have on automation and workflows in Ambition. So we're excited to have a couple folks on, and I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so y'all can follow along with the content we have prepared for you guys today. So just kicking things off, welcome to office hours. If you haven't attended before, what we're going to run you guys through are some of the topics that we want to share with our customers. Today, it's going to be all about some of the automation with your processes and highlighting some of those special moments at your organization, actively and passively within Ambition. So these happen on the third Thursday of each month. We have a rotating cast of characters. So it's not me and Annika next time. It's going to be a couple experts on the Ambition side with another hot topic for that third Thursday. So come on back if you have time next month, and we'd love to see you back on and connect with you guys again. So that being said, I mentioned a couple of us here at Ambition that are running the show today. Annika, thanks for joining us. Would you like to tell the audience maybe a little bit more about your role for Ambition and thoughts for today?
Yeah, so my name is Annika Hanby. I'm a product manager. I am relatively new to Ambition. I've been here a little over 3 months. Loving it so far. I have extensive knowledge in gamification platforms. So it's pretty fun, like just keeping that trend going along here. My area of expertise within Ambition so far is I'm over the accountability portion of the system, as well as the amplification part of the system. Man, I am tongue-tied this morning. I'm so sorry, forgive me. And so that includes workflows and scorecards and TVs and a whole slew of other things.
Well, thanks, Annika. Super excited to be tag teaming this with you. And looking forward to jumping in here in a sec to some of the slides that we've been working on these last couple of days. Just to say hello to anyone in the audience I haven't had a chance to work with before. My name's Jason McCool, and I'm one of the customer success managers with our mid-market accounts here at Ambition. I'm an open book. So after this, if you have any questions on workflows and any of the automations we're about to get into, feel free to shoot me an email. It's first last name at ambition.com, or of course, follow up with the CSM that's assigned to your account. But I love to help any of our customers. So let me know if there's something you see today that you want to talk a little bit more about. So quick agenda for today. We're going to run through a couple of our new products. The one specifically that we're going to highlight today is called workflows. So you've probably started hearing a little bit more about that from your CSM, but we're going to get into that and show you at a little more granular level how to execute on those if you haven't already. If you have, just bear with us and we'll show you hopefully some tips and tricks for optimizing the creation of these and how to use them within your instance. But then what we also want to hit on as we're going through, that I'll turn over to Annika here in a second, it's really some of the best practices around these tools that are like Annika was saying, can be really a great means to amplify those special moments for your sales team. So when is a good moment to recognize Jason for having a stellar day based off of X, Y, and Z? The point of this is to help you guys as managers. One, we all know that everyone has a number to hit here in sales. So getting in that behavior of working backwards from when a manager, like let's say Doug hits his number, how to get those results out of his team and have fun with it and everyone be on the same page. So excited to get into that here in a second. But for that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Annika, or excuse me, I actually have one more slide. I'm going to get into a little bit more about what these workflows are and some of the occasions that you might use them. And then I'll turn things over to Annika so she can go through just a little bit more detail. All right, guys. So workflows, just like I was touching on, it's all about working backwards from that team goal. So as a sales organization, what are you guys expected to hit over a certain time frame? The first step for having a successful workflow is going to be defining what's a good moment in our company. Is it meeting set? Is it, for a group like SDRs, is it all just about volume, outbound dials? And then we want to define whatever the KPIs are at your org. What's a good moment? What's that baseline for, hey, this is what Jason in his role at your org needs to do every single day. So defining that baseline. And then where we get into the above and beyond and where we start helping you improve your culture. So normalizing that expectation of excellence, that's where workflows can really help out, because once we've defined that baseline with your KPIs, we can decide what's above average, what's a little bit more than that, what's absolutely rock star status. And then we can celebrate that. And then the outcome, folks start seeing this in sales. Generally, you're competitive and want to be at the top. So then everyone starts working together, celebrating those moments, but they also want to be that rock star at your organization. So defining that's step one. What we can do and where we're going to start helping you guys out and show you all a little bit more, and Annika is going to get into more detail on, is then how can you maximize the tools that you have in Ambition? So I think there's going to be a couple different things that we want to really highlight with this release of workflows. So with workflows, the beauty of this is it's going to automate a lot of the daily shout outs that you're having to grab screenshots from Salesforce, maybe a screenshot from Tableau. What we want to do is we're able to work with your systems to make sure that you have the right metrics in Ambition. And then what Annika said, it's all about the amplification. So you might think back to kind of the age-old gong on the sales floor or something like that. Ambition in a digital world recognizes that that's probably not going to be as feasible anymore, especially, not only in this remote world, but as companies become more and more international. We want to give you guys the opportunity to celebrate wherever you are, whenever that moment happens, across geos, across remote, hybrid environments, in-person environments, just automating that for you. So I think what we really want to focus on and encourage our customers to do is see, put a little bit of visibility around those top performers and around who's having a great day, so we can kind of get that culture started and really just kind of kickstart that attitude of, hey, we want to recognize attainment because, wherever you are in your employee journey, we want to create a win for you. We want to base that around the KPIs that are important to your organization. And then we want to really just create this atmosphere of folks know that their peers are seeing it, their managers are seeing it. And we definitely want to help you guys get there with workflows. And then already hit on some of that culture stuff. When you as an employee, just speaking to a sample size of one and how we use workflows here at Ambition, we get really excited about our triggers around here. Personally speaking, on the customer success side, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to get that recognition. So where this really takes off is, some of those less traditional roles that are still KPI based. Workflows is going to give you a means to recognize a variety of different departments, whether it's, sales, whether it's customer success. It's going to give you an opportunity to have that cool moment in the sun where, honestly, going back to that example, that sample size of one, it's a really great moment when, as a CSM, I have an opportunity to compete with the SDRs, to compete with our account executives every single day based off of our leaderboard workflows. Just a quick example of this: every single day, twice a day, we have the automated leaderboard workflows go off in Slack. And if you're not familiar, we're a Slack and a Teams product where we can integrate with either of those. So we just personally use Slack, but at 11 a.m. every single day, better or worse, if I'm doing really well, if it's super busy day, a ton of stuff closing, ton of meetings being set, my name's going to pop up there on the leaderboard right alongside the SDRs and the AEs, which is really a feeling that folks start to crave because everyone wants to see themselves, being recognized for their hard work. And on the flip side of it, if you're a rep and you don't see yourself on the leaderboard, it really gives you a benchmark to kind of pace yourself throughout the day for that 4 o'clock workflow leaderboard to go off to where, morning, great if you're on there. If you don't see your name on there, you have all day to, dig in, grind a little harder so you can get that celebration at the end of the day and see your name on the leaderboard. So wanted to share a couple of examples and then we'll wrap up with some best practices, but want to flip it over to Annika because she has some really cool stuff, getting into a little more detail on each of these.
Yeah, thanks, Jason, so much. So with accountability and encouragement, it's really a fantastic way to use our workflows to maybe assign some action to our insights. I know previously as a manager, it took up a lot of my time to figure out who's doing great and maybe somebody who is actually kind of struggling that day or that week or whatever time period. So the awesome thing about workflows is not only can you create those really positive interactions, and they're all positive interactions, but those really celebratory things, we can create a workflow. Like if you have a certain level of calls that need to be done a day, let's say 100, and you have an employee that's not actually hitting their calls every day, you can set up a metric or a records-based alert for that to signify that who's not reaching their calls that day, and they can reach out. You can reach out to that employee and say, maybe this person needs a coaching session, maybe they need a one-on-one. Let me check in with them to see how they're doing. But instead of having to troll through all your data and find that for yourselves, you can set an automated workflow so that you can have that information sent to you at a certain time during the day, which I really enjoy and like. It helps me understand who on my team really needs a little hand up and help out versus just them struggling throughout a couple months and then we finally figuring out where their issues are lying. So I really like that. It's kind of like the flip side of the positivity, and it is still positive. It is a positive encouragement to kind of meet people where they are and help them get to where you need them to be. So I really like that. I really like how workflows easily turns those insights into actions in that regards.
Yeah, I love that, Annika. I think that's something that personally I overlook quite a bit in Ambition because we can get pretty siloed in wanting to recognize, the above and beyond. But then what happens when, Jason is having a rough month for whatever reason? Definitely want to remind the audience that Ambition is equally powerful in that to course correct. Just so you're not having those challenging conversations. No one likes being put on performance improvement plan. That's kind of the death sentence from what I've heard out there. So to avoid those conversations, to avoid the ninth hour Hail Mary, looks like Jason's been struggling for a couple months and now we don't know what to do with him. Having the visualizations and ambition. Yeah, appreciate you circling back on that, because I think that's equally as powerful as, if not more powerful than, some of the recognitions for going above and beyond, because, you can't get those special moments if you don't have a solid foundation where your managers support you.
Yeah, especially when you can tie it in with other aspects of like coaching, and being able to set up those, a program or a one-on-one based off of, the insights that you're gathering from your daily set workflows.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, jumping into the next slide.
And as Jason was saying, we do make work fun. It is fun to come into work. It's fun to see different messages pop up throughout the day. It's always a joy and delight for me, even though I'm not on a team that currently, I'm not in a sales team. In other companies, I wouldn't know if somebody made a big sale or not. But this way I can actually see within my Slack instance about what my sales team is actually doing and be able to help celebrate with them. Being able to have that super fun, joyous moment with people outside of the sales team and the whole company is really it's exciting for me to kind of be in that atmosphere. It makes it a joy to come into work and see when somebody is just killing it that day and be able to high five them, virtually, of course, but it's just a lot of fun, and it makes the remote world a little bit more interactive, because again, I work from home in my office all day long. So being able to see, and I'm not, 2 doors down from the sales office hearing the gong go off, and so this is our own personal gong, as well as other milestones that are hit as well. When a CSM does an amazing job at, one of their metrics is they have what's your one? It's going to come to me. Oh, expansion. There we go. When a CSM can help a client expand too, that's really exciting for me. It makes me feel like the products that I'm helping work on and designing and making sure that we're doing right, they're actually doing the job that our customers have hired them to do, and they're doing it so well, they're wanting to expand. That's great. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for me to be able to see that within the CSM team, but it's also a win to see some of what maybe I'm doing in my job helped that move along forward. So I really like how it just makes it fun and gives me a really great view into what the rest of the company is kind of doing in other teams. So
yeah, that's I appreciate you sharing that, Annika, because I think that gives us a little bit of insight into really how people across organizations can support each other. Where me and Annika, we haven't met in person. She lives in Alabama, I live in Tennessee, but with workflows, it gives us this pretty special human moment in this increasingly remote and distant world to have this excitement to build that relationship at work where we know we have each other's back. And then flip side of it, someone like Annika, and we literally do have conversations like this all the time. There's an expansion if there's something like that, when your products team is really dialed in the way Annika just described, then it's, hey, this customer is doing well. Can we get a feedback session from them? What came, or how did this expansion come to fruition? So that's a great example, because the more information you have, the more every party is going to be able to do, the better they're going to be able to do at their job. Just more information, it's an indicator one way or the other. Flip side of it, we have the data available where if you're struggling, again, it warrants that conversation with someone that, in a traditional remote world, they wouldn't have visibility into my job. We wouldn't have the means to communicate. So we're able to make our company better in the long run, just based off of the simple interaction of the data being presented worldwide and being full of transparency and having that interaction to support each other and give out shout outs.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like workflows really helps break down those walls. So speaking of breaking down those walls, so it does increase the flexibility, like we've talked about, But the great thing is like, you can just set it and kind of forget it, right? Like you can go in, you're like, I know that this is the metric that I want to see every day or once a week. This is very important to me. It's one of my key KPIs. I don't want to have to keep on going back in over and over again, 2-3 times a day, even to see what this is doing. I really just, I want to see it at this time of day. It's really great. It's so totally customizable. I love workflows. I love working with workflows. It makes everything so much easier in that regards. And especially on the leadership side, where we can really get like that deep, that deeper kind of dive and into the pulse of the company without having to, I feel like, spend all that time to get there to do it. And then it boils down to our individual contributors, right? They see it too on their end. They can see that, oh, this is how I rank within my team. This is how I rank, within the company. Did I make the leaderboard today? Oh my gosh, I did. And look at all the people who are commenting on it. Like, oh, I feel really good about myself today because of this workflow that a manager had set up for me. So I really like that there's a lot of visibility. And like I said, it's really breaking down those walls that we have when we get into either a larger corporation or a worldwide corporation, or even just our COVID corporations where we're all spread out and we're home. I like the visibility of what's going on within the rest of the company.
Yeah, thanks, Annika. Appreciate the examples and kind of going through what it means to you, how customers can use it, how we can create that ecosystem of accountability and having a little bit of fun with our day-to-day, with some of the things that we're all working hard on, and then it means to recognize each other. Switching gears a little bit, we have about 10 minutes left before we let everyone go on their way today. So I wanted to jump back in and just give a few best practices and a few takeaways that that we can run with once we're back out there, once we're trying to figure out a way to start executing on really making sure that performance is trending in the right way at your organization and getting the most out of ambition for your organization. So getting into some of those best practices, excuse me, Annika, I might have jumped over. You got one more
it's
slide.
Okay.
And okay, let's
I'll take this really quick. Okay, so the great thing about like cross-functional communication and ambition is like, not only do we have a shared system of like a shared ecosystem of transparency, but like we can also like send these in the way that we think that people are going to be more receptive for, or even multiple ways, right? We could send it via Slack, Teams, email. We can send communications to the TVs. It makes that cross-functional communication a lot easier. You might not be in all of the Slack or Teams groups with all the people, but you might be able to send an email to a whole chunk of people that you don't necessarily need to be on a Slack, chat with every single day, but once a week. Hey, heads up, this is what's going on with my team. Email is an awesome way of using that workflow, right? You're not like segmented and you have to use workflows in a certain way at a certain time. It's very customizable for that cross-functional communication within your company.
Yeah, appreciate that, Annika. Sorry, I tried to, I guess I was getting so jazzed about the best practices. I was ready to get right in, but
he's like, let me show you how this works.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that was an awesome reminder that I know we have been showing a lot of screenshots from Slack, from Teams, referring to that context quite a bit. So just echoing that, great reminder. Whatever the most effective means of communication is for your org, it's different everywhere. Whether it's, those blasts on TVs, if you guys are more in that hybrid environment, if it's strictly remote and you really dig Slack and a lot of communication there, that might be the appropriate place. But if it's for like a leadership eyes only, you guys always know that, leadership doesn't miss an email, stuff like that. And just like Annika suggested, maybe a little bit more appropriate for email. So I'm looking at kind of the tabbed view of the slides here. Annika, I'm not seeing you again, am I? I think
I don't think so, but
yeah.
Well, if a new slide pops up and I need to talk, I can just tell you what.
No. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap up with some best practices and then want to spend about 90 seconds in app to make sure everyone knows how to navigate to workflows. So some of the reminders that we've been hinting at throughout the presentation today. think backwards, for anyone in the audience, you guys are managers, y'all are leadership at your organizations. What are the numbers that you're responsible for? Think backwards from there. Okay, so on a sales level, the folks that are out there in the field, your AEs, your SDRs, what are the big moments? And what I would encourage you guys to run with, here's my mantra: normalize excellence. One way that we've done this here at Ambition is we figured out, okay, what's a decent day for SDRs? Well, we have a big focus on meeting set. Traditionally, 4 is a really good day. So what we dialed it back from that is to start bubbling that up, to start getting everyone in the mode of, hey, every day I can have a great day. We have a workflow go off when any SDR hits 3 meetings set. That ramps people up. We do what's called a streak pot, where once you hit 3, you're eligible for the streak pot. If you hit 4, well, 4 was our record for the longest time. So we were excited to get people to a record-breaking day, but that started happening more and more. So when 3 meeting set hits, well, trigger goes off, everyone gets excited. What was found started happening more and more is folks started hitting that record, that 4 meetings set a day, where that normalized a day that previously happened once in a blue moon. I think it had happened twice prior to the streak pot. Now we've gotten to the level where everyone is sharing ideas on how they're getting 3, 4, 5 meetings set per day, to where it's normalized that behavior. And with the streak pot, all of our SDRs kind of have like a little side bet going, where they encourage people, honestly, with the cash incentive of, they have a little bit of a pool going, where if you hit your streak pot, if you have one of those days, 5, 6, 7 meetings set, where they have this pool of cash going on between them, where you're eligible for the streak pot, they're all kind of pitching in. Then if you have one of those awesome days where you're breaking a record, where you're hitting 6, 7, everyone pitches in. So whoever it is that hits that streak pot can go out for, nice dinner, a couple of drinks, just kind of enjoy themselves, and then have that incentive of a little bit of cash that has come out of just, any day you're eligible for kind of taking home the piggy bank with some of the workflows that we've built out in Ambition. Second point here, no, that was a little bit long-winded, but make sure reps understand what they're being recognized for. So if this is something you're passionate about as leadership, just make sure they understand the different tiers and the different workflows that they're working to achieve. This next one, make sure your leadership team is bought in, all the way from C-level down to managers. Throw an emoji, throw a thumbs up, say hi, great job in chat. And it looks like selecting multiple teams, checking out the chat real quick. All right, Doug, I will try to make sure that we cover this. I think we're all getting the concept of, make sure leadership's bought in. It's going to give reps a chance to win that day, because when they see leadership giving them the thumbs up, that's where you walk away and see, hey, I felt like I had a good day. My boss reinforced this, and then even got some shout outs that even in a non-digital world, you don't have an opportunity for every day as the CEO to give you a pat on the back for setting, a handful of meetings, but in workflows, doesn't take very long. Anyone on the C-level can, give you a shout out. So I know we have about 60 seconds left, and want to stay honest to the time frame that we've saved today. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my share real quick. And let me reread this question real quick, Doug. Let's see here. Okay, yep, I think I understand, and then feel free to chat if I miss on this. So let me go in here. This is where you're going to see workflows. If you don't see this lightning icon, feel free to reach out to Ambition support or your CSM, but this is really where it's all going to start. And then Doug, to get into selecting those multiple teams, all we're going to do is click workflows. Crash course version here. We're going to want to select create workflows. And then this gets us into the customization. Scheduled leaderboard, Annika did a great job of explaining the examples there. Metric-based alert, that's going to pull from your existing metrics in Ambition. And then record-based alert, this allows you to sync with some of those fields in Salesforce that might not be utilized within a metric that's already in Ambition. Point being, this is way more granular, and you can sync with specific fields or objects in Salesforce to create that record-based alert. So since we talked a lot about leaderboards, let's go into metric-based alert. So for like that streak pot, if you have 3 meetings set in the day, all we're going to do is create. Let's do ambition. Oh man, Zoom typing is a real thing.
Everyone's watching.
Right. And then make sure to set these. If you're looking to QA some of the details, you can actually set this to inactive, but for the sake of the demo, if you want it to go live, active is perfect. Next steps. And then Doug, let me know if you have any feedback, or feel free to connect with me offline. But then when you want to select those different teams for the distribution, a couple different places, this is going to allocate who gets that notification. So basically in metric settings, this is where we're selecting who's eligible for having that moment in the sun, which groups it's applicable to. And then I think what you were referring to, we're going to fill this out. You can select whatever's relevant, kind of that top priority for your team. You're going to set that value. So for us, it would be, let's just say, let's do new opportunities, value. We would do operator equals, then just like what we were talking about, 3 for that streak pot. Then the last step here, this is dictating where it goes. So if you want to go to one of those specific distributions or those specific teams, all you're going to need to do is just tell Ambition where it's going in teams. And then you can say, hey, I want this to go to the Ambition team channel. And then under that, we're going to go into the sales channel, the sales development channel. That way the relevant channels are notified, relevant folks are seeing that celebratory moment, and folks get to enjoy everything we've been talking about. Last step before you navigate away, and I would encourage everyone in all areas of Ambition to be looking out for this green trigger, or excuse me, blue trigger, colorblind here, this blue call out at the bottom. Just make sure anything you're setting up in Ambition that you're saving it before you navigate away. As soon as you select create workflows, this workflow is going to be going to the sales development channel within your teams.
I just want to point out that you can add, if you want to send it to like 2 or more teams, you can go ahead and click that button again and add it and do a second team that it gets sent to. So, yeah.
Great call out, Annika. And then this is also just wrapping things up, where you can direct these to, different means of communication, email, TV. You can even just create kind of a standardized log of these that you could export and review. But these 3 are definitely your power players here at the top.
Yep, and you can select as many groups, teams, users as you want them to go. It'll just send them each in their own instance.
Yeah, great call out there. Well, guys, it looks like that puts us a little beyond time, but since we waited a couple minutes to kick things off, appreciate y'all sticking on the line. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly, your CSM, or our support team, gethelp@ambition.com. And we will talk to you guys hopefully in a couple Thursdays from now.
Thanks, everybody.